it's really genius because you're saying by guys learning how to do these steps, which you teach in your course in the bedroom, the girl will start craving it. She'll start wanting it more and more. She'll start seeing him differently as stronger than her, as, you know, worthy and deserving it. And then she'll naturally kind of be more open. It's really interesting how sex can open up people's relationships totally.
Well, sex can be looked at as like a glue that holds a relationship together, right? And I can immediately tell when if I look at a couple, you know, out in the wild, if she is nagging him in public, I can immediately tell you that she is not having good sex. Like you instantly know that she's not being dicked down properly, because a woman who's having great sex, all she wants to do is get more great sex and please the guy that's giving her great sex. You know, she should be. A lot of guys sort of get this backwards and think, you know, you hear all these kind of tropes in marriage of like, you know, the bedroom dries up, or like, oh, my wife always has a headache, this kind of stuff. The best dynamic is when she is chasing you, the woman is chasing the man for sex. That's the best dynamic. That's when both parties are happiest, because she wants to chase after, she wants sex from a man and if it's the other way around, if the guy is not getting sex and he's constantly nagging the girl for sex, it tells you something. It tells you that the sex isn't great.
In your opinion, do you think that like all women, have they kind of told you like they have these deep kinky desires, or do they not really realize what's happening, or do they kind of tell you like, I need the guy to be powerful, I need him to be strong, that's the only kind of acceptable guy to me, these kinds of deep desires?
It's very rarely verbalized. I'd say it's very, very rarely verbalized, like you just said. And like I said at the beginning, you're the kind of woman who's extremely self-aware, which is a rarity. So most of the time, it's not a case of them verbalizing, "Oh, I needed you to do this, I needed you to do that." It's simply me observing what I'm doing differently and how they're responding to it. You know, are they just elated and happy and sitting there in bliss, you know? And then after the fact, after the sex, are they craving more of it? If they're craving more of it, then it's like, okay, well, whatever I did was absolutely correct.
Wow. So you're saying like when you do provide this dominant experience, even girls who maybe don't have maybe super high sex drive or something, like they're craving more. It's just this is the thing they've been craving all along and opens them up.
Yeah, it definitely opens them up, and it opens them up. If it opens them up to a new experience, if you're the kind of guy who can give her a sexual experience she's never had before, that immediately makes you the best lover she's ever had. It's by default, right? Because no other guy's done this to her before, and you'd be surprised how, to all the men listening right now, you'd be surprised how basic most sex is for the average, you know, man and woman in the world. Like there's very few people who are having the kinds of sex that, you know, well, the kinds of sex that I teach in this video course, there's not that many people having it. And I can tell this book again because of the emails I get back from people that are like, oh wow, I've only ever tried like a quarter of this kind of stuff. Wow, this has really opened up my eyes to a whole, you know, new plethora of ideas. Or I never would have thought I was the kind of guy who could choke a girl erotically. Thank you for showing me how to do this. Now I understand how to do it properly. And that all comes down to, again, this fundamental masculine feminine polarity in terms of like the guy being the dominant one, the woman being the submissive one. Because here's the thing: it's a guy who has the capacity for violence, for want of a better explanation, is extremely attractive. I mean, MMA fighters, boxers, these are all very attractive men to women, right? Not even necessarily consciously, but subconsciously, a guy who can fight is attractive. And why is this? Well, if you have, as a man, have the capacity for violence, it means that you have the ability to protect her. That is a very deep psychological, like evolutionarily evolved response. Now, how can she be certain that you're capable of protecting her? Well, if you are able to physically dominate her, that's pretty clear indication that you have strength, right? That you have that capacity for violence. Doesn't mean you're going to be violent to her. Doesn't mean you're going to assault her, abuse her, any of these things. That's not what we're saying. Obviously, this is all done consensually and with love, with genuine love. This is done to please your partner. But it comes from this sort of deeper place of showing that you have the capacity for violence, which is a very controversial thing to talk about.
It's like every time, in the bedroom, he does something dominant, it's proof right then and there. And that proof is like, just like a mindgasm, like right then there. Cause it's like, yes, he deserves it. Yes, he's alpha enough. Like, yes, like I'm right to be with him. So I totally agree. And it's that capacity for violence. And it just signals like strength, power, like he's worthwhile. Like it sounds so terrible, but yeah.
Well, it sounds simplistic.
Yeah.
Right. This idea that it kind of all boils down to strength, but a better which in today's modern society it sounds weird. It's like the guy who's giving her, say, very tame vanilla sex, but he's earning 6 figures a year. He's providing for their kids. They've got a lovely house. They've got a 401k. They've got a nice car, and yet she's still not satisfied because the sex is very tame and vanilla. Well, it's unfortunate that the brains that we have were evolved for a time that was very different. We're not evolved for this existence, for this society that we currently live in. We're evolved for, from caveman times when we were like small bands of tribes warring against each other quite often. And if you think of everything in that context, it starts to make a lot more sense.